So we are at a very concerning area for Tesla stock that we absolutely have to cover. See, in my previous videos, I mentioned that as Tesla stock was moving upwards, it was most likely going to start meeting with an area of resistance at around that 247 level. And if we take a look, that is exactly what we ended up seeing. And in fact, I mentioned that this was most likely going to take place simply because at around that area, there was this large volume relative to price. And when there's a large amount of volume relative to price, that means that there's a lot of exchanging between buyers and sellers. And so this initially creates areas of consolidation, support, and resistance. And so we saw that as Tesla stock was rising up, it got rejected at this area, which, by the way, guys, if you're new to the channel or if you're not already subscribed, consider tapping that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future video. And while you're at it, also consider checking out the links in the description below, because one of the links is going to be a link for my free weekly market pulse insights, where every single week I send out an email talking about what is currently taking place with the overall markets. And again, guys, it is completely free. Also, I'm going to go ahead and pin it in the comment section down below. But moving over, I've been putting a strong emphasis on paying attention to the labor markets, as the labor markets are going to be a huge driver for the overall economy and also the direction for the stock market. And see, in the past, I talked about paying attention to the initial jobless claims. Now, this is just, a report showing how many people are filing for unemployment, which obviously is not good. However, in the past, we talked about how seeing this number tick upwards was pretty bullish for the markets. The markets always reacted bullishly in the last few, reports when this number came up higher, and that was simply because we were in an environment where the Feds were hiking interest rates, and we know that the Fed slightly wanted unemployment to rise up a bit. Why? It's not because they're evil. I mean, that's kind of debatable, but they wanted this equilibrium where, of course, if more individuals are unemployed and out of a job, well, they don't have paychecks and they can't spend their money, and that combats inflation, because obviously if you have less people spending, well, that doesn't increase inflation. That actually decreases the rate of inflation. And so that's initially what they wanted. And so the idea of seeing unemployment and the initial jobless claims kind of tick upwards, well, that was kind of like saying, well, okay, well, the Feds are getting what they want and maybe they will stop hiking. And so now things are kind of shifting, because now we're at an area where we pretty much are positive that the Feds are no longer going to hike, but we're still seeing unemployment and the initial jobless claims kind of move back upwards. And so I know it may be confusing. This is something that historically is bad, and for a period of time for the market, seeing this go up was pretty good. However, now we're reverting back to an area where this is again going to look bad, because of course this idea of this soft landing that the Fed has been spewing out, this rhetoric that, hey, we're just going to see things soften just a bit and everything's going to be grand and okay, as we start moving closer, people are going to start to realize that a soft landing might not be that soft. Now, in the past, I've shared how the Federal Reserve uses a very blunt tool in regards to making updates in monetary policy, and I said that they may have pretty much went a little bit overboard, and now we're going to start to see the ramifications of what they actually did take place. And so this is why things are going to escalate much more further than what they initially anticipated, and this is why we're going to start to see unemployment and a lot of job cuts actually get worse.
It's happening.
In fact, we just got news that Citigroup is making layoffs this Monday in the tens of thousands, which is actually kind of poopy if you think about it, because this is actually right before Thanksgiving, and so there's going to be a lot of individuals who lose their job right before Thanksgiving. And so that conversation at those dinner tables is going to be pretty rough. You're going to have a lot of individuals who can't even enjoy their turkey because they have to be on Indeed looking for a new job. But along with that, we also got a lot of controversial news take place with Elon Musk and X.com, formerly known as Twitter. And I want to go ahead and talk about that, but I want to apologize in advance because I had to be very vague with this conversation, and so I can't really speak too much about the situation. And although I would love to just share the news without picking any sides, the problem is it's a very sensitive topic, and so I don't want to really regurgitate any of the information simply because it could put my channel at risk of demonetization or possibly even delete my channel, which, by the way, my YouTube guy told me that, hey, YouTube is going to get a lot more stricter on controversial topics, especially as we move closer to the election year. And so I don't want to say what Elon Musk said or if it was right or wrong. I don't want to speak on that, but what we ended up having is a controversial topic or issue with Elon Musk saying a few things on X.com, and we're seeing a lot of advertisers, Apple, NBC, I can't. There's like 7 more I can't even name off the top of my head, but there's Google, just to name a few, right? Just very big companies, just to say that, who are pulling away from advertising on X.com simply because of what Elon Musk recently said. And so now there's a lot of speculation. A lot of individuals are concerned that, hey, now we're seeing that X.com is going to make less revenue. And now individuals are questioning, well, does this mean that Elon Musk may have to sell more shares of Tesla to kind of fund X? Of course, again, I wish I could talk more about this topic, but I just have to be very vague. But just know that this is going to cause some uncertainty for Tesla stock itself going into the next trading session. And so you guys could do what you want with that information and kind of look into it a little bit deeper. But again, I am just kind of sharing the news of what recently took place. But moving on over with the controversial issues with Elon Musk and what's happening at X.com, I want to share something else with you guys that is very concerning but also interesting. See, on this channel, oftentimes, again, if you're new, maybe you don't know this, but when I talk about Tesla stock or any other security, I take a very holistic approach where I don't just simply rely on one data point. You have some individuals who only look at the charts, or some individuals who only look at the fundamentals or the news. I look at the news, the catalyst events, the fundamentals, the technicals, the macroeconomic environment, but along with that, I also look at alternative data, and oftentimes I say that you want to pay attention to what these politicians are doing, right? Because these politicians, let me tell you guys, some of them are some of the best traders we've ever seen, right? You want to pay attention to what they're buying, what they're selling, what they're trading, and we have this politician by the name of Tommy Tuberville, right, who's actually so far this year has been trading with much more volume than Nancy Pelosi and Rick Scott, which is honestly pretty surprising, as those are very active traders, if you guys know what they've been doing in the past. But what I wanted to share is that this particular politician has done some trades with Tesla. In fact, we see here that he pretty much traded in October 17th by selling some Tesla shares, but then he ended up also buying Tesla puts. Pretty much back to back. And so that's also something pretty interesting. Now, I'm not saying that, hey, you need to follow everything that this politician does, but it's definitely notable to see what these politicians do, especially because it was kind of interesting how a lot of these politicians bought a lot of these war stocks, right? A lot of these defense stocks right before we started entering into some trouble in the Middle East. And so, again, I'm not saying to follow what they do, but maybe you just want to take note of what they do. But with that said, I want to go ahead and cover what I potentially see going on with Tesla stock. Now, I do want to just provide a friendly reminder that yes, I am bullish on Tesla stock in the long term. I do have exposure to Tesla stock in my long-term portfolio, and I'm bullish on Tesla stock going into the long term. However, in the short term, I still believe that there's some pain coming, right? There's still some ramifications from the previous rate hikes. And of course, when you add in everything else taking place, well, I don't see Tesla stock actually going into all-time highs at this very moment. In fact, I see a little bit more pain coming on with Tesla. And so right now in the short term, I think Tesla could come back to that 219 price area, and of course we're going to monitor what Tesla does at around that area, because that's another area where there's a lot of volume relative to price. And so we want to see if Tesla holds up over there, but if it breaks below, well, then we could see Tesla stock fall a little bit further. And so that's something that we absolutely want to pay attention to. But again, just a quick reminder that you never want to trade or invest in what anyone else just suggests or whatever anyone else is saying. You always have to do your own due diligence and only trade and invest in whatever you see value in. You don't want to copy whatever I say, what any politician says, even no matter what their track record is, because past performance is not indicative of future performance. And so, just because Cathie Wood is saying something, or maybe some other analyst or some other maybe an influencer on X or YouTube or any other fund manager, you don't want to just blindly follow them. You just want to hear what they say and kind of just see whatever you see with that information and do whatever you see value in. Again, I'm long-term bullish on Tesla, but some things look a bit concerning, right? But with that said, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. But before we go ahead and end this right over here, I want you guys to go ahead and check out this next video right over here where I break down why I don't trade penny stocks. With that said, guys, I'll see you guys on that next video.